TGIF, it's Robert here. I'm going to be talking about Teamrobert and the product line that I sell and promote to everybody with nutraceuticals. And I wanted to go into a background as to why would I want to sell nutraceuticals, um, and what why would I, what's my interest in it? Why would I have an interest in that? And I just wanted to go into a background on that from a couple perspectives. So, it's learning about Market America and the product line with the nutraceuticals, the isotonics, and all the different products that Market America promotes from a nutraceutical and health perspective is something that I'm very passionate about. I believe in, I love, and I do have a vested interest in this. I've shared many times I live with diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder, and I do need to take medications in order to manage a mental illness. And I want to go into my story with medications for mental illness, my experiences with that. I'm going to get a little vulnerable here, but I want to kind of connect the dots and have people see, and this is something I'm absolutely not embarrassed to share. This is part of my story. This is why I am doing the Market America and franchise. This is with my heart. So I'm going to talk about my experiences with mental illness and the medications. And my first experience with mental illness was I was put into outpatient in 2004, or inpatient, pardon me, 2004. My mental illness, I was untreated, I was unaware. It went into a psychosis. I lost touch with reality. Had to be put into inpatient. They diagnosed me as bipolar, and they put me on a medication, a variety of different medications. But the prominent one that I remember at the time was Depakote. Depakote is what's called a mood stabilizer, and with bipolar, it's a mood disorder. So it means that if you're not on medications, controlling your moods is literally impossible, especially if you're unaware of it and you're not doing anything to manage it. With bipolar, it's a mood instability that you really have no control over unless you're on some type of medication. So they put me on this medication, Depakote, and I gained 200 pounds on the medication. At the time, I talked like this. I was essentially a living slug, slow, overweight, monotone. That was my first experience with a mental health medication. So 200 pounds gained on that. Now, the doctor can't give you anything to get rid of that. That's something that you have to lose with exercise and things like that. And, I pretty much have kept on that weight, a majority of the weight, the majority since 2004, and so, with mental health medications, if you're misdiagnosed, first off, you're going to be on something that isn't going to work for you. So I was on a variety of different medications. None of them really worked, but, I got a lot of side effects from them. Majority of the time I was diagnosed as bipolar, even though I didn't understand why. I have a bachelor's in psychology. I read up on bipolar in college, and I've read up on things, and I'm like, well, I'm not staying up and never sleeping. I'm not spending a lot of money. I'm not talking this. I don't understand why they're saying I have a manic phase. I went into a psychosis where I was like delusional and talking, and having ideas that weren't based in reality. So it didn't make sense to me, but I didn't know enough about what was going on. So I just followed around with that, went on different medications, experienced a lot of negative side effects, weight gain, anxiety, all these different things. 2008, still not finding the right combination of medications, 4 years of on and off like a guinea pig. I go on to a medication called Geodon, and what happens with that, I was driving home from my girlfriend's house at the time, and I lose control of my head while I'm on the road, and it goes down like this, and I can't pick it up. I lose control of my head. My arms are going all over the place. This is all while I'm trying to drive home. Involuntary movements. And God gave me strength to move my head up. I don't know how I did, but I did, and I was able to get home safely. But that was something that, I developed a symptom called a side effect called tardic dyskinesia, which is involuntary head, facial movements, anything. If I didn't get off the medication and quickly, it would have been a permanent type side effect for me. That's what it is. You have to get off. Once you realize it, you have to nip it in the bud. So, that was another thing. And that was, just lots of trial and errors. And even to, the 2 years ago, taking my medications seemed to be working. And they stopped working, and I'm at my job, and I go into psychosis and lose my job. So, and these were things that were happening. I was on a medication before. I'll go back a little. I just want to share as many of the experiences that I can remember off the top of my head. 2015, I went on a very carb restrictive diet because I wanted to lose some of that weight that I gained from the Depakote, and I lose about 40 pounds. I go into emotional instability, have to go inpatient. The doctor tells me that the medications were not adjusted, and that's what's happened. The medications that I were on were weight dependent. Now, this is something my psychiatrist knew at the time, the outpatient psychiatrist, and didn't adjust the medications accordingly. So I had to suffer. So I've had, I'm on a combination of medications right now that are working, but one of them, even before I went on this combination of medication, I took a medication called, trying to remember the name of it. Forgive me. It was a medication. I was in the process of going on a different combination of medications. It caused insomnia the minute that I started taking, and I went like 3 or 4 days without being able to sleep whatsoever. Went on to another medication where I'm able to sleep, but weight gain, lots of weight gain. And this other medication that I'm on now for lithium that I take is good, but it's long-term damaging to my kidneys. So that's pretty much my experience with medications. And I'm going to turn into another. This is the turning point for me where I'm very passionate times 1,000. I worked for an insurance company. I've seen and this very well, people maybe consider this a conspiracy theory. I'm not going to connect the dots to anything, but all I'll say is, the Affordable Care Act came into effect in 2014, and prices for everything increased significantly since then. In terms of pharmaceutical companies, there's medications that people have taken, boom, gone up considerably. And this is my personal opinion. People don't have to agree with it or not. Everybody needs to have health insurance and needs to go to the doctor. You can charge whatever you want for whatever else. Who's to stop you? Everybody has to have it. So, I'm not trying to make a controversial take here. That, who knows? Maybe I'm incorrect and I'm seeing things wrong, but that's how I'm seeing things. So, what I'm doing with Teamrobert and the nutraceutical lines, I don't want any human being who has mental health problems to ever suffer as much as I have trying to find the right combination of medications. No human being deserves to go through that many side effects, go through misdiagnoses, and I'm learning about the nutraceutical products, and you know what? Nutraceuticals, not that many. There's not the risk of side effects when taking a vitamin or a mineral. What I'm reading from nutraceutical and for vitamins and minerals, all the varieties of vitamin B, you know what? They serve the same purpose for serotonin levels in your brain. And serotonin is essentially I'm trying to do it off the top of my head, but a lack of serotonin will will initiate or inspire depression, and an abundance of serotonin will inspire anxiety. So when you take vitamin B and all the varieties, that gives the serotonin. So there's evidence, research, data. And with mental health medications, there's no empirical data. They can make studies of it all the time. No disrespect to any psychiatrist or anything else, but it's medications for mental illness are absolutely unreliable, and there's more of a potential for side effects than there is for it to be working. And that's unacceptable. People with depression, anxiety, go through any of these chronic mental illnesses deserve much better. I deserve much better than that. You know what? And if I can save one person, it took me 13 years to find a good combination of medications. And you know what? It's not just the medications. There's other things in place that I've worked on, the medication. But you know what? I don't want to see any human being go through 13 years of suffering to find the right combination. They deserve it quicker than that. These things, the 2008, when I had the Geodon and the involuntary movements, I was going through major depression. I wanted to end my life because I had no quality of it. I begged to God. This is the reality. I'm like, God, take me, please. I can't live like this. This is absolutely unacceptable. And I was able to make it through, but I don't want anybody to go through that. That's no way to live. You're going through depression. You need something that's going to work. And with these nutraceuticals, I'm doing more research and understanding, and I want to be a beacon of hope for people with mental illness. I don't want people to be misdiagnosed and have to take a wrong medication. No human being should have to go through 200 pounds of excess weight on a trial. That's not easy to live. And you know what? It's not fair to the people. The doctors, when they give you the medication and they make a mistake, all they go is, oops. That's unacceptable. You know what? There needs to be a better way. And if I could start making a better way for people, then I want to. I absolutely want to. So, and I want people to have a choice. A lot of those medications that I was on, I was told that I didn't have a choice, and I'm off of them. So I guess that was incorrect. So I'm doing Teamrobert. I want people to have a quality of life. I want them to have a choice in what they take, and I want them to be educated. And I don't want them to go through side effects. I don't want them to go through any of the suffering that they had to go through. When people are going through depression, they don't need to have extra suffering. This is why, the suicide rate is astronomical. People are damaged and vulnerable, and then they got to take a medication and have that impacted even 100 times more. It's not a way to live. So this is why I am doing Teamrobert, and I want to help people in that way. I don't want people to suffer while they're suffering. They don't need any more suffering. They need relief. They need love. They need inspiration, and they need to trust what they're taking. And that's what I want to provide. So that's my spiel, and thank you.